Okay, I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, starting off with the minutes of August 18th. It's only Woody, Leon, and myself, so
I'll make the motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as written.
And I'll second it.
all in favor?
Amen.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Second item, lifeguard report. There is no lifeguard report. They had no deaths this year, so that's always a good thing. No problem. Couple of rescues, couple of medical instances, but nothing too big. And I should mention that Evan Audette, who is our head lifeguard and has been our head lifeguard for a long time, has indicated he's not coming back next year.
Huh.
So something to think about. But I want to thank Evan because he was more than dedicated. In fact, the last weekend he was down there by himself. You know, showing up, and he had gotten married 2 days before,
Wow.
which I'm sure went over big.
So let's acknowledge Evan.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm going to have the selectmen acknowledge Evan at some point in the
Did he have
future.
any shark attacks or anything?
No sharks up there.
There was
Sharks at the
a,
beach, I'm just wondering where they're coming from.
well, there was a sighting off the Spindle Rock dock.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what I heard that, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
5 foot.
Was that recently? Was it?
About a month ago.
17, 18
Yeah, I don't
years?
know. How many years was Evan on?
good question. At
She
least
was
10,
nice.
11, I would say,
Okay.
stuff. But he was very dedicated because he was working a full-time job and doing that.
I
Then-
think it's in the teens. I think it's something in the teens from what he said.
Wow.
So it might be,
I'm not
should
sure.
have him.
So, which would be something I'll bring up in a little bit. Okay, I was gonna review the budget and I had put a printout in the thing for us to review, and I guess we'll have to push that on to next month so I can get you all a copy of the budget, but we did pretty well. I was a little nervous, with the money we appropriated, the amount we had to pay per hour for lifeguards, but we seem to have been well under it for some strange reason. So, we will have money left over next year, for whatever, if we carry it over, because we have till July to spend it. So that goes by the town clerk. I talked to the town clerk this week, and now's the time to start thinking about policies. Because if we want to institute new policies at the beach, we have to vote on it, go to the selectmen, they have to approve it for January 1st. So essentially, we have two meetings. We don't meet in December, so we have October and November to decide on any policies. So anything, and one of the things that keeps getting brought up every year is a way to speed up the issuance and the workload of the town clerk. And I'm not sure what the best way to do that is.
I had a question in regards to that. I know I worked at Horse Neck when I was younger as a lifeguard, but the campground was always run by the state, and then they put it out to a third party. So now you just go on a website if you want to reserve a site, and you reserve it right through the website. I wonder if there's something similar to that.
Different, yeah, the problem we have is we have to check certain databases,
Sure.
taxpayer and census,
Yeah.
and those aren't available to the public. Like,
Sure.
they should. So they are, but they aren't. So we have to verify that everybody, you know, when you have a general population,
hmm
it's not as problem. I don't know, what do you do with the
Could you use a
landing?
field card, like a property card, or?
Well, you can look at the tax bill and see that, you know, so-and-so is a taxpayer.
Sure.
The problem we have so many out-of-state, non-resident, I guess, beach passes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
these trusts, and they have,
Mhm.
so, and they're not named after anything, you know,
Yeah.
Realty trust.
yeah, you know, family trust that, you know, the family doesn't have the same name anymore type thing.
Sure.
And it's like, you don't know who gets one, who doesn't. And maybe we just go, I had mentioned to Paula, but it's probably not a good idea. You say 2 passes per household, here you go.
Sure.
You get a tax bill, here you go.
Mhm.
Here's 2. You know, send a license plate in, we'll put it on the thing, and you get 2. I don't care what you do with it at that point.
That would certainly streamline it. I mean, I was just reading the number of passes that you sold, and if it,
That
It
isn't
must
even the
take
final,
a-
that isn't even the final number.
yeah, a certain amount of time for her to look all that up and then,
Well, if you
Process
figure-
the paperwork.
Oh, no, if you go down and look at the stack on the desk,
yeah.
you should sometime, it's incredible how high
Hmm.
the application, and to check every, and to deal with the people who can't do it right. One of the things we're gonna institute is, you don't do it right, he's getting sent back to you, and you have to send it in again. There's no more calling or emailing, you forgot your check, you forgot to fill out the form, you forgot your license, you forgot your registration. If you don't, it's not complete, it's coming back.
Well, the way both clubs at the harbor do it is that every family gets two passes, but they're tags that can be used in different cars.
Right. Well, that's the problem with the beach.
But that's the way they do it.
Yeah, I know. The problem with that is you can hand out to, everybody will get 2 beach passes, people who never went to the beach before.
Well, that's all.
And it'll be handing out to and then it gets more crowded. We have a limited parking.
But if they never go to the beach,
Well,
that won't change their behavior.
no, but I mean, they usually wouldn't get a beach pass, but now they get a beach pass. Then you have, if you have a tax.
No, I mean, but that's people who apply.
Right, right.
If a family applies, the way we've done it all along is that each family gets two tags, but they're not assigned to a car.
Right.
They go with the family.
That's where the problem comes in, not assigning them to a car. Non-resident can very easily, well,
It's simple, I mean, it's simple.
it is simple, but it becomes a problem. It's a problem already when people see people who are taxpayers, but with a New York license plate parked in the parking lot, and they don't have a parking space.
Yeah, but if they got the tag, that means they have to be residents.
That's gonna be tough for people who pay a lot of taxes who aren't residents.
But I mean, they get the tag. If they own property, the criteria for having the pass
They've gone through the,
would be the same. They still have to prove that they're either
Right.
a resident or that they own property. They still have to do that. But rather than assign, and have people apply for 3 or 4 passes per house, you simply say you get 2. But you can switch them to another car.
Yeah, but that's,
So,
we thought about that, and
Okay, well, I'm
it's the switching to the other car that's the problem.
So you're talking 2 per household, but with license plates on there?
Yeah.
no, well, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
we're
not
doing
fun.
now. That's similar to what we do now, except that it
Right.
limits it to 2.
I thought 2 per household. Yeah, you're gonna have, if my nephew's coming from New York, you're gonna give him your passes, you're gonna use it, but for the you're not just gonna give it to them.
Well, what we have to do now, you have to give them your car.
Yeah. Well, because one of the problems we have is, and it's always a problem, is the parents live in town, but the sons and daughters or whatever don't live in town, but they want to still go to the beach. And you know what would happen. And again, the biggest problem, the main problem we have is we don't have enough parking. So we're trying to limit number per household already, and then if you let it go without a license plate, then you're going to be more crowded than you ever were.
No, wouldn't it be the same amount? That person is representing another person, like, it's the same amount of people, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Well,
Same
it is.
concept.
It's still, but
It's almost
And I
like they
don't
can,
think that, being here and social media and stuff, I don't think parking was a huge issue this summer.
No,
There
it
weren't
actually
a lot
wasn't.
of
It wasn't.
complaints
It
about
wasn't.
parking.
It wasn't a huge issue because a couple of times I went by, just drove through the parking lot. It was not a big problem, and that was odd because of the fact it was so hot and dry all summer.
But it was long,
It was a longer span.
it was a longer span, so you didn't have that mad rush to the beach because you had 2 rainy weekends,
Right.
and now all of a sudden everybody wants to go.
Sure.
And on the boat, when you looked like at Baby Beach in that lot, there were a few times that they were on the edges and up the middle, but it wasn't like it has been in the
No,
past.
no, yeah. Well, I don't think you can count on that all the time either. I still have to believe that if you had a 4th of July was in the middle of the week this year, that was another thing. I think there is some realization that it's going to get crowded if you go there afternoon. You try to go down there at 1 o'clock, you're not going to get a parking spot. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
I mean, I
think
didn't
people
hear a lot.
realize-
I didn't hear a lot of.
I didn't see a lot of
complaining about
problems.
that. It was more issues like the pathway and the gate being open and that kind of stuff that you heard about.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
but
people
As
didn't
far as parking,
understand.
I didn't hear, which I usually hear every summer, God, I went down there, you can't get a parking place, you can't do this. I honestly didn't hear a lot of that,
No, I didn't hear any of it this year.
so.
But I did hear, about, even when places half empty, people still complain if people don't have passes in the parking lot. That is a problem. But, and the other thing that was brought up is giving the duties over to the recreation director. Is that her name? Is that her title? Director of Recreation?
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's something.
I was gonna suggest that.
And then
tonight.
somebody was also saying to have her, because of the lifeguard issue, have her run the whole lifeguard schedule and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if she wants to do it,
Well,
but
I mean, regardless, it's still gonna be overwhelming for any one person to have to go through that number of applications. So you either have to find a solution or.
well, if you had it, you just send in your 2 license plates.
Yeah.
Here's your 2 license plates.
Mhm.
Send it in.
Yeah.
Oh, they just write it on the pass and it goes out
And
the
it
door.
sends
We're
it
not
out.
checking the census.
Yeah.
We're not checking. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's a little quicker.
Hmm.
I mean, ideally, do you have a kiosk out in the parking lot that people come in and get their passes?
Yeah.
Every Friday afternoon, that was the problem when we went to mailings, because every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, it was like the whole world was stopping in to get a beach pass. If Saturday was going to be a great day, and I waited until the last minute.
I also wonder, I worked in Fall River for a number of years, and I would utilize UMass Dartmouth and their public policy program, where I would request interns and sort of give them projects to work on. So like every year you could get, 10 students who were seniors or graduate students that wanted to work on a project with a municipality, and then just sort of
Yeah.
hand
I
it
mean-
over to them.
The issue is some of the stuff that comes in on the application
Yeah.
is private, personal.
Oh.
If you have a license, a check with a bank account number and everything like that, it's very easy to do
Check,
things
yeah.
that are,
Mhm.
run up bills, get a credit card, do
Sure.
all these things. You got everything. You got a bank account, you got a license,
Yeah.
you got a registration.
Mhm. Yeah.
Guys, that's kind of. But if you don't have to send that in, you're only sending in the registration.
Yeah.
That goes away. The registration is like Westport, Massachusetts, blink, blink, goes out the door. I don't know if that's a better way of doing it. I'm not sure if there's any good way of doing it. We've been discussing this for as long as I've been on the committee. It wasn't a huge problem 5 years ago. It became a huge problem because we jumped from 2,700 to 4,400
Yeah.
because of the pandemic. It just went bang to bang. And in fact, that Horseneck jacked up their prices. So
It
now
must be
people
tough
who
to
would
get
go for
anything.
2 days during the
Yeah.
summer or a week during the summer during the vacation, they just go to Horseneck.
Yeah.
Face it, Horseneck, not a good beach anymore.
Yeah.
Not as nice
Very
as Cherry
lucky.
Webb.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as nice as Cherry Webb.
Oh, it's a dump.
Yeah.
What's that beach?
Yeah.
Rocks over the beach.
Yeah. They moved a lot of them this year, but
Well,
it's,
yeah, they're just gonna come back. I mean, the sand's
Yeah.
just gonna go back out again.
yeah, so that has a lot to do with it also,
Mm.
No shame.
So, I mean, something to think about. Anybody wants to throw out a list of ideas and email them to me, just email me your ideas. We'll make
Sure.
a list and say, okay, we'll go through one by one and go through. I don't know what else to do. I mean, we're trying to, thank God for Bernadette and Stella, but it gets very tiring for them to do. I mean, just alleviating them hunting people down for checks and
Mm.
email and all the other things that, hey, try to do to help people out who can't fill out a form.
Yeah.
Now, because they're sending in these self-addressed envelopes, it's gonna go back and,
Is it
Sure.
more of, this is just a question, is it more of a role of the selectmen and the town clerk to determine the best way to process the applications, or
we
is
have the
that?
advisory committee, which
All
was,
right,
we had what's the name of the committee? A parking pass committee or whatever it is, you were on it, Paula, where we were trying to decide all these issues. There was the landing passes, there's the,
sure,
stickers at the dump, there's all these things that
Yeah.
you have to buy all these different passes for different facilities in town. Is there a way to
consolidate.
make it better? And we looked at software and we looked at other things. And the hardest thing about the beach pass, like, I don't know how you do the landing pass. Well, granted, you only have like, what, 500 or 600?
Something, it's just the registration.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, nobody ever really verified that I was, to get a landing pass.
Yeah.
there's not a lot of verification.
Well, there's only 400. If it were 4,000,
Oh, yeah. Well, I know.
people
Yeah,
would
it's a
be.
registration, but if you had a New York registration, you have to show a tax bill.
Yeah, okay.
But
Because
for
we
the
didn't
most
bring in the
part,
registration.
if
That's
you didn't
right.
bring in
That's
your
correct.
registration, for the most part, it's just the registration running out. And that's what it is, but it's it's 400 compared to 4,000.
Yeah, there's a huge.
But that policy has changed over the years. I mean, I've talked about it before. I mean, I was the one who used to run to the town hall because I needed to go down to Emma's Landing for a field trip with my kids. And I was like, oh, I need my beach pass. And you walked in and you got it. But you can imagine having 4,000 people coming in and,
It
you
wasn't
know
just.
what? 4,000 people showing their registration and stuff. It's not that. It's the people that where the arguments and
Yeah,
come into play and where they're
Well,
not.
you know who I am.
yeah,
Oh no, I saw it with Marlene when I first got on the committee. The things I saw, people walking in. Well, my boyfriend needs one too. Well, where's his registration? Well, he lives with me. He doesn't have, that kind of stuff. It's like, and you're sitting there, and in the meanwhile, there's a line going out the door, and this person's starting an argument for 10 minutes about how their boyfriend or the girlfriend should get a beach pass or whatever, because they live with them, but they don't have a.
Sure.
And then it got abusive.
yeah,
Where people were, like I said, 3:45 walking into the town hall with nothing, expecting a beach pass because they were down for the weekend.
yeah,
And at that point, it gets a little unsafe.
sure,
The only way to streamline it, though, I mean, is to automate it. It
Yeah.
has to be automated somehow, and that's what it is. They have to be able to scan
Yeah.
in or something. That's the only, I mean,
there must be a way
Yes.
for a programmer to determine whether or not they're a
Yeah.
taxpayer and cross-reference it with, when they type it in, say, okay, we checked, he's a taxpayer.
I'm sure there's got to be. I mean, look when you buy something on Amazon.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, they know everything.
They know everything about you. Your credit
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
what you had for dinner last night. They know
Sure.
everything you had. There must be a way, but I'm sure it's inexpensive. We looked at software, but it didn't. It was you go in,
Mhm.
put your ad, and you can send and you pay for it, and
Sure.
you can print it out.
Yeah, you'd almost need somebody to build it for you, like a program. I don't know how you do that, but.
Yeah, I'm not computer savvy enough, and Jeff Hall, who is computer savvy enough, tried to do things, but it was. I think it's just difficult because you have to access two databases. One is a taxpayer, and
Mhm.
one is the census. Because you cannot be a taxpayer, still live in
Sure.
town.
Oh, yeah,
If you're renting or leasing,
yeah.
you're still a resident, so you still.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then you have a taxpayer who
Yeah.
doesn't live in town. You have a lot of those, and they have the real estate trust thing,
Sure.
where you don't know who belongs to the trust.
Yeah,
And it turns out, there's 50 people all of a sudden that belong to this trust, and
yeah.
so it's like, how do you take care? I mean, we took care of some of those issues by limiting the number of the trust can get.
Sure.
So, but it's still an issue of if you have to check this, check that, check this, And then there's people who sell their houses in December and then apply in December for a beach pass because it hasn't changed over yet.
Ah.
And when it was simpler, things were simpler.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten so complicated with all these things. I don't know how best, but it's something to think about. The issue is, the town administrator has brought up the recreation take it over.
I think she quit.
I think she would go
She's a very,
nuts.
very busy girl. She does a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
think she would go nuts.
Yeah.
I really think she would because 4,000 applications is 4,000 applications. I mean, they would do 100 a day.
Do you know how many events she puts on every week? I mean, this girl's busy.
And God forbid you miss a week or miss a day or take a vacation or something. See, at least the town clerk's office is still processing them. If one's on vacation, the other one's still there.
Yeah,
If she decided to take a vacation, like most people do at the end of June, to use up their town vacation time, boom, the busiest time, all of a sudden she comes back and there's 500 beach passes sitting on it and everybody's calling. It's just, I don't know, there's gotta be a way of automating it, you're right, I'm not sure which way is to do it. So something to think about. The one thing that we already voted on was if it's not a complete application, it's going back and you're gonna reapply.
So we have taken care of that.
Yes, we took a vote on that several months ago.
I thought that we did, but
Number 7 twice, lifeguard discussion. The question is, do we have lifeguards? because it's getting more and more difficult to fully staff the beach for the full summer. You know, years ago, nobody went to school till after Labor Day. Now people are going to school 2 weeks before Labor Day. And those are most of the people, college and high school students, who are getting as lifeguards. So what happens the last 2 weeks, poor Evan and a couple others were manning, you know, and it was understaffed.
Mhm.
And then the issue is, are we gonna be able to hire next year? And we go through all that. And somebody mentioned, do we just put a parking attendant and somebody just watching the beach for behavior, and they call the cops and say we can get out of control? You just put unguarded beach signs up. You know, you put a little little booth there in the parking lot and the van, and somebody can sit there and just watch who comes in and who goes out.
I like that idea,
With-
but I don't know if, I think a lot of the families that go, they enjoy having somebody there looking over the water.
There's no doubt that everybody appreciates the fact that
Yeah.
there's a lifeguard there. And there have been rescues in the past,
Yeah,
and the question is, are we finding a head lifeguard to take care of that? Maybe we do put that over to recreation. She puts the lifeguard schedule and we just say, okay, part of the budget's gonna go to her. But it's getting them to show up, like that was a problem. People weren't
Yeah.
showing up, you know, what do you do from there? And it was pretty,
difficult. Yeah, I
Well,
know
you
that.
don't know
Yeah.
whether that was a temporary situation or not. I mean,
I think we all dealt with it.
and I think everybody,
Yeah.
all kinds of, because of COVID and whatever, everybody was having trouble finding people to do anything.
yeah, exactly.
And maybe that was temporary. But
We can see. I
We
mean,
don't
it's-
know.
It's something to think about. I don't, you know, I'm not in favor of it. Everybody likes having the lifeguards. Another reason I like having lifeguards is the behavior is, you know, toned down.
Yeah,
If there's nobody there,
yeah.
And if you sort of determine the hour, maybe adjusting the hours that the lifeguard's there, maybe, you know.
well, 9 to 5, I mean, it's pretty much maybe 10 to 6, maybe, but nobody wants to be there any later than they have to.
No,
you know.
but you just pick a time and say, that's it. And that's the time, 10 to
Well, they had
4.
part-timers showing up who were just doing afternoons, and that's fine.
Well,
but
that'll
it's-
happen, but still. Well,
I mean, it was really tough. The whole month of August was a disaster for having adequate number of lifeguards there.
How about the state? They have, I think they have like an ambulance that parks up at Horse Neck.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility? I mean, at least there you have like eyes.
So I don't know if
On
Westport
there?
has enough ambulances.
Yeah,
yeah, it's,
You know,
difficult.
well.
I
that's
think
a
they
whole-
probably have a stat
It's a whole
ambulance.
Yeah.
different level
Yeah,
of staff.
Yeah. I think those are stat ambulances which are contracted,
gotcha.
you know, I think. So Westport has, and
Yeah.
then you
Who
know,
would be
you have to-
doing that?
who's gonna be sitting in the ambulance all
Yeah.
day, you know? I'm sure somebody would love to be paid sitting there in the ambulance all day because of the amount of calls you probably have,
Yeah,
but it gets a little pricey too. Something else to think about. Okay. We do have an unanticipated, we have a letter in front of you from the watershed. Annual beach cleanup will be Saturday, October 1st, from 10 to 12. So we'll be leaving the dumpster there at least till October anyway. I don't think there's a problem. Does anybody have a problem on the committee? The watershed goes down there and cleans up the beach?
Well, does it involve just free parking or?
Yeah, but usually, especially in the fall
There's
one
no-
is
no
usually,
big deal, but
you know, not a big
Somebody
deal.
should
Yeah.
tell whoever's checking parking that it's
You know,
all-
Yeah, it
usually if
says
they come
here
in-
they request permission for non-beach stickers.
Yeah,
It's going in front of
because
the select-
sometimes the Girl Scouts come in and not
Yeah.
everybody has a sticker.
It's going in front of the
or,
selectmen on Monday.
you know, some volunteer group or bank, who was the last one? Bank, not Bank 5. Bay Coast Bank, maybe?
Bay Coast.
Yeah, maybe Bay Coast Bank brought a whole bunch of volunteers
Mm.
now. We appreciate that, so we're not gonna ticket them for parking in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Well,
October
well, it's-
usually isn't a problem because there isn't a lot of people down there
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, well, no, there is,
So.
just as long as we know.
The other things, the dune hike on October October 29th. I don't understand that. I still don't understand that. Watershed
Where
does
do
it.
do they hike in the dunes?
They hike in the dunes to make you aware of the dunes, how sensitive they are.
That's totally destructive.
I don't know what exactly goes on, 'cause I've never been to one,
wonder
because
if it-
the land trust does it also.
Does it come before the
And they
commission?
usually come, Ross usually sends a letter.
Yeah.
Is it over on the side where there's the
They
path?
walk, I'm assuming they stay on the
Yeah.
path, it's not like
Yeah.
they're, like an army
Yeah.
invading, Normandy or anything, it's,
Mm.
and they only take 15 members,
The
but
first
Sure.
10
Yeah.
to 12, I think. is
Yeah.
it's usually if it's a nice day, it's very
Yeah.
well attended.
Sure.
Kind of, October 29th can be a little dicey. But, I mean, does anybody have a problem with that? We used to have a member who had a problem, but,
Well, the commission might have a problem, which is another entity.
well, then I'll forward this letter on to the Conservation Commission for their,
I think that would be,
okay, I'll do that.
I'll do that, Sean, I have it in my computer. I'll just forward it over to you.
Okay, all right, if you would do that, that'd be great, Paul.
we're gonna meet Tuesday, so they can be aware.
So having said that, and that was the only unanticipated that I was aware of. So now we go member input, starting from left to right.
I'm pretty good right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna gather my thoughts and email you.
Porta
Well,
John,
the Portaleones have been removed,
yes, you remove very quickly.
yeah.
And
And-
surprisingly, there wasn't a ton of garbage underneath them or behind them or anything else. It was, usually when they move them,
You find
there's
it all.
all kinds of junk all underneath them, behind them, but there was nothing.
Yes, she was quite
So it was
good
actually
with that.
pretty well. Oh,
Um,
go ahead.
The mosquitoes, we ended up with 2 sprayings. How did we actually do you
Dude,
think?
it wasn't too bad. There was one day that there was an outbreak of no-see-ums, gnats and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
I don't know if that spray takes care of those, but other than that, I don't think there was a lot of complaints. Considering how dry the summer was, I think that had a lot to do with it too,
Yeah, true.
you know?
So I think we'll always kind of plan on 2. If we only need 1, well, that's fine. We used to go with 1.
Yeah, it really,
But-
the weather, but it was so dry that it was
Yeah.
like, I don't think there were a lot of mosquitoes. I was there, I go there in the evening, the worst possible time, and I didn't notice any.
Yeah, late August
Horrific.
for the second spraying.
Does
so
the
that should be-
spraying deal with ticks?
Yes,
Yes,
Well,
it supposedly does.
mosquitoes and ticks, and
Yeah,
leaves
okay.
bees alone, butterflies alone.
Yeah.
Because I didn't
it's,
notice any ticks this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah,
Well, I think
it's
ticks was
supposed
the
to
same
do
thing with
that.
ticks. It was
Yeah,
so dry, I
it
think.
takes-
It wasn't as brushy,
Brushy down.
while vegetation didn't grow as high and
Yeah,
those
the
type of
ticks
things.
were,
I pay them,
no ticks.
I use them myself, and it was very good.
Yeah.
I only had 1 spray, but,
Mhm.
I've recommended them to a lot of people because it's a natural product. It's not dangerous to humans
Who does
or
it?
animals.
Actually, I think,
Flynn Pest Control.
yeah, I think a woman who lives a couple of houses down had it
She
done
had
too.
it done too.
Yeah. I think she called you for the number, or I called you for the number for her.
Yeah.
So she called me. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
I have something, because I just remembered it. The sign, that lit sign, they took that out, unfortunately. I wanted to keep it there until the end of September. That says, beach closes at 8, permit required. Although
Mhm.
people can't see it for some reason. We might think about wanting to purchase a sign like that and put it in the parking lot for our own sake, for various messages, dangerous waves, beach closed because of this, or whatever the case may be, at least post the hours.
Is it solar, is it solar
Solar, yeah,
powered?
yeah. I think it worked really well, because you could see that thing all the way down Cherry and Webb. There was no excuse I didn't see the sign. Although I had 3 people in the last couple of weeks before they got taken away tell me that, they didn't see the
Yeah,
sign.
he is.
Yeah.
They
He
were parked
is
under it, they didn't see it.
Vaccine clinic and stuff though, so he probably pulled it out of there because of that.
Yeah.
They had the vaccine clinic and stuff. he
And,
had.
and that's fine, but I think maybe we should think about, because we might want to have a sign like that, like I said, when there's a hurricane, or when there's sharks, or when there's jellyfish, or whatever the case may be, we can put the message on there and just let people know.
Could
I'm
we
over-
purchase it
We have
now?
money,
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say,
we can purchase, I don't have any idea
now.
what it costs, I'll find out from April.
Yeah, because
sure
if we
she
have
knows.
it now, even if the price goes up, we got it. And we do have the money, so now's the time.
So,
Oh,
Uh,
other question on the fence. I know we fixed the fence for the
we
lady.
gotta send it out to bid, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have to send it out to bid. So, I guess I have to write up an RFP. I'll call Jim in the morning on that. Is he in tomorrow?
Mhm.
I haven't talked to him all week, so he probably misses me.
Well, it'll take a long time, so we ought to get that
Yeah,
done.
yeah. I mean, they're going into, I don't wanna say the slow season, everybody's busy, but at least he told me he could, his biggest thing was, as long as people are out of the way, they can move pretty quick down there.
That's the boundary fence, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's been problems. A woman who owns a private house, her dog was injured because she had so much glass in the dunes near around back behind her house.
It's a shame.
So,
That's why I make fences.
Makes good neighbors.
yeah. Okay, Woody,
I have nothing new,
anything on Beach Avenue? I haven't been down there in a
well,
while,
except for the
except for the,
trash
yeah,
fence.
yeah, we'll take care of that. I meant to take care of it
But
before we
that's-
made a motion to do
But no, there
that.
were no storms, nothing. no.
Not yet.
You might have them check to see if there are 2 handicap parking signs at the end of the lane. I think there was only one.
I was gonna make a suggestion that they put the chain across at the no parking sign to stop people in the winter from going all the way down to the Nubble.
Again, in the winter, there's probably, I mean,
The
the
problem
only
is,
problem is if it does get filled with sand, people get stuck.
yeah, exactly.
And that's,
But I've seen
that's
that.
just dumbness.
I've seen that though, and that's,
Yeah.
so it's probably,
I mean, if there were, and maybe not a chain, but just, some cones and,
yeah, but they'll move the cones, I mean,
boulders.
yeah, oh yeah,
I mean, they
yeah,
move
that's,
boulders into the road.
because
They
Chris was
used to-
thinking
They
about,
used to do that.
yeah, Chris was thinking about putting a post on the other side and just running a chain across with a sign say,
Yeah,
no
or
parking. Road closed or,
Yeah.
because he can't do anything till the spring. So if it does sand in
Yeah, if it
and
gets,
some,
if it's hazardous to have people get stuck, which it can be,
in the winter, yeah.
people can freeze.
But somebody's gonna get stuck down there,
Oh, yeah,
with this-
well, I always,
Yeah.
but it would only, I mean, the question is whether to just do it when the road is full of sand or just do it in the winter.
It'd be easier just to close it and they're not supposed to park down there anyway.
Because it's
so,
only a 18-foot chain.
yeah. So,
If you find 2 posts opposite each
well,
other.
we put one on, well, we always put an eyelid on the sign that says no parking past this point, and then we put one on the other side, so.
If they
That was
put
like-
boulders, because they're
Yeah, the
gonna,
boulder problem is you have to get a machine down there. You can put a
Well,
chain
he's
down there with a
gonna-
pickup truck.
he'd be
To get a
doing
front
that
end loader
lane.
down there is,
He'd be doing that anyway when he does his cleanup. He could do the removal then.
yeah, but he's not gonna clean up till April at this point, or March, actually.
Yeah, I know he's down to 5 guys per guy.
No.
It's really tough.
Just an idea, because it's one of those things. Perry, you're up.
I don't really have anything, I guess as it relates to the dunes, whose responsibility is it to keep people out of them and protect them and restore them?
Conservation.
Uh,
That's a conservation thing.
Yeah,
The land trust owns land in there, obviously the town does, and
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
The question is, if you stay off them, you just
Yeah.
let them go, that's what's supposed to happen.
yeah,
There's been a lot more traffic over the last few years, partially because of the pandemic.
yeah,
People need a place to go. I think that has calmed down a little bit. Because a couple of years ago, it was like the grass was matted down, like,
Yeah.
it did look like an invasion had gone through there, because
Mhm.
people just didn't have anywhere to go, and that was the only place to go.
I was somewhere and they did a Christmas tree collection.
I do that, I
for the
bring them, I
dunes?
go to the dump and grab a couple every time I'm at the dump,
Yeah.
it's gonna be transfer station, and I bring them down and put them, and it works.
I wonder if
does.
we could
Oh,
do
yeah.
something.
It
like-
works very well, I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see some of them half
We
buried, it
did that
does
for
stop
years.
erosion.
Yeah, we did.
It does work very well. And the town collects dumpsters full of
Yeah.
Christmas trees.
It'd be kind of neat to relocate them.
It's a resource.
It holds the sand wonderfully.
Yeah,
It
There
does.
there used to be a program that the land trust was involved in, somehow either funding or doing, but planting beach grass on the dunes.
Oh, no, they still do that. Watershed does it.
They do.
It's been
Yeah.
great. I mean, you can see where they planted it. It's like,
Yeah,
a
okay.
patch of like a hair transplant
Yeah.
Somebody
here and here.
else.
Yeah,
somebody does it.
Yeah, the watershed, Shelley does that. I think she does plantings. They get so many shoots a year or something. I'm not sure how exactly it works. One of the things about the Christmas trees is that you gotta put them in spots that don't have grass. That's
Sure.
part of the problem.
Yeah,
I've been putting them in where the paths have eroded down and everything like that, and they've come back in the last couple of years. And people this year have been keeping off the dunes. Surprisingly, I don't know why, but because the paths and the dune grass itself has grown up even with the weather the way it's been. It's been pretty good.
and I think in terms of the parking, I like the idea of a parking lot attendant. My children go surfing all the time down the end of the beach down near Baker's,
Yeah.
and I think they have two guys that sit there at their entrance, and
Yeah.
like, you do not want to mess with these guys.
Yeah.
So if we had a similar operation there, I feel
No,
like,
if you stop
Going
people
back.
before they park without a
Yeah.
sticker, then you don't have a problem.
yeah,
And you could ask people to park more efficiently.
yeah,
I just spent 2.5 hours at the Handy House last Saturday helping park cars.
yeah,
And, you know, that place is jammed on the Artisans Fair. There isn't,
Oh, yeah.
and you have to, and you
Yeah.
tell people park as close as you can, otherwise it
yeah,
take angles
yeah.
and, you know, you lose 20 spots because people just don't want to
Mm-hmm.
take the time to just, it helps. But again, parking hasn't been, I don't know if that's gonna turn different. I can't believe it's not. You sell 4,000 beach passes and you have 100
Yeah, but
pots.
parking lot attendant is gonna stop those people that don't have the stickers.
Yeah, from coming in.
Yeah, if you catch them before they go in, it's easy. Once they're there, it's.
And it may, if there's a way to do it just on weekends.
Yeah.
then that would be the big, that would be prime time.
Well, you know, it's funny, weekends used to be prime time, but I've seen it as busy during the week as it is on weekends. There's so many people work from home and so many
Yeah,
people
well,
are home and it's
yeah,
just,
it's now.
you know, that people go down there. I see more people, as many people in the morning at the beach during the week as I do on the weekends.
Hmm.
Oh, the dogs now, lots of dogs now.
That last summer was ridiculously out of control. That one day I was down there and I was watching, there were 30-something dogs loose on the beach. It was a high tide, there was like a 10-foot strip of beach available to walk in. If you didn't like dogs,
Yeah,
and I told every one of them coming off, it's like, this is serious. And they all knew, but they just don't want to realize that it's become a problem. And Audubon was going crazy, so it's something has to be done about that. I mean, I tried to get the animal control officer to go down. I mean, I like dogs as much as the next guy, everybody knows that. But if you saw that one morning, I could not believe what I was seeing. I just happened to have the day off. I went down there at 8:30. It was like packed, and everybody had at least one, if not two. Some was 4, and they were just loose, just running everywhere up and down the beach. It was out of control. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so that's it. Nobody has anything else? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Then I'll entertain a motion at this time.
You got it. To adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.